Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's rant on Morgan's Mask about a cosplayer who is going through some drama. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 11. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. I'm not sure where they're going with this, but it appears to be about a woman who... now, it's a low-budget movie, I think. So they needed an excuse for it to take all in one place, and it basically just takes place in her apartment. And the premise is she's a cosplayer, and she seems to have a very lonely life. Doesn't appear to have any kind of relationship going or anything. She has friends online, but, and it's called Morgan's Mask. I think it's an obvious metaphor. On digital, April 28th. Oh, so it's out already. Written and directed by Trevor Rigby. I don't recognize any of the actors, but, she seems to be a lonely girl, but she doesn't seem to be cast correctly. I don't think. I don't know if I believe someone this. I mean, this scene right here. This is what kind of did it for me. So she's a cosplayer, and then she loses her job, and then she designs a new costume for an Overwatch character, and her design. I mean, it barely looks like a design, right? Like you could see kind of what it looks like, but barely. And she's showing that over her internet thing to, I guess, a guy she's friends with, or her brother, or maybe it's a boyfriend. I don't know. I don't think she has a boyfriend in this. And he says, well, I don't know if you can wear that costume. That feels like a costume for supermodels who eat kale. And then the next scene is her, crying in a bathtub about it. So, that seems like an awfully fragile character. But at the same time, she's an actress, and she's pretty hot. So it doesn't seem like if you had cast... This is a one-time, I'll say, you could have cast a heavyset girl. I think you would have been much better. Much better. This would have been a much more impactful movie if, and no offense to this actress or anything, but if you had a heavyset girl who barely fit in costumes. And I've seen these girls at Comic-Cons. Some of them look okay. They don't look great, but they are, they don't wear anything too revealing. They'll wear bodysuits, but they'll be so packed in. They won't look great, but they'll look proportionate. So they look okay. They're not, and if they're, depending on which character they're trying to dress as, they don't look like the character. They just look like a heavier version of the character, but it's okay because the costume itself looks okay on them. But there are plenty other girls who will wear stuff that's far too revealing for their figure. And I think you missed a real opportunity here to capitalize on that. You could have had a girl who, so for instance, the Lara Croft outfit, right? It's really a sexy girl with guns. Now, if you put a heavier girl in that outfit, you could still cover her up and she'll still look okay. But she won't, she'll look okay. She'll look like Lara Croft, kinda, just a heavier Lara Croft. But there's certain costumes, and even Wonder Woman, depending on which version you have. If you have the version where it's really tight in the back, where your butt's sticking out, and you're really, really heavy, that looks bad on a heavyset girl. Because there'll be lots of cellulite. You don't want that. But if there's sort of Wonder Woman costume that has a longer skirt, maybe, or something that covers up, they won't look thin, but they'll look proportionate, and that'll be fine. So there's a way to make these costumes look for heavier people. And what I think happens to some of these cosplayers is they get caught up in the cosplay so much, they get ambitious and they try a costume that their body just can't pull off. They just can't pull it off. So that would be impactful. But when you're talking about a hot girl like this, like Hollywood ugly is not ugly. She's Hollywood ugly, and not even. I mean, I don't think she's ugly at all. I think she's very attractive. Now, is she a supermodel? No, but she's pretty good looking. I mean, I'm sure in the right makeup and outfit, you could put her on the cover of Vogue. She's thin. She's in shape. She has arms that are toned, and you can't, unless you're going to put her in a fat suit, like, what's the big deal? So I think if you had cast, like, a Melissa McCarthy type, not Melissa McCarthy, I think she'd be too old for this role, but someone like that, oh my God, then you would have a real drama on your hands. Because then you would see visually that her cosplaying, while fun for her, is not going to be, it's not going to be a job. She can't be a sexy influencer. Some of these girls, they're costume girls, they do have a bit of a following on Instagram or whatever, but they can only take it so far because they don't look anything like the super hot girls. They're costume enthusiasts. It's a hobby for them. This girl, she's hot enough, she could be an influencer. She could have a couple of 100,000 fans and make sexy costumes. She absolutely could. I've seen girls with her body type who could do that and pull that off, and they look great. And they have tens of thousands of fans. And when you have that kind of fan base on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you can make some money. Online. Now, to some extent, it doesn't matter for the drama. She could have body issues, and somebody saying that could be devastating towards her. But I think you missed this huge opportunity. I mean, know your audience. The cosplayers, most of them don't look like this. Some of them do. The top ones do, but they're only the top ones. Or they're so young, they're young and like they're teenagers who, when you're a teenager, you have an insane metabolism a lot of times. Most people do. So they're already thin, and they're coming into their own, 16, 17, and 18, and they have the kind of bodies that can wear latex or whatever, and they're not fat. They just don't have fat. A guy wearing a Spider-Man like if I wore a Spider-Man costume at 16, I would have looked good at it, because at 16 I was ripped, and not everybody is, but some people are. So it's like, if you're gonna do something about image, I think you need to cast somebody who could fall apart. See, so I could see a heavier set woman, she's trying super hard to be accepted, and in the costume world, she would be. Online, she would be, generally speaking. And then she's designing a new costume. It's a little more revealing than normal. And her friend says, I don't know about that costume. I don't think you can pull it off. And then you've got a real drama there, right? Because it's like, well, he's telling her the truth. He's trying to save her the embarrassment, but it hurts her feelings. So, call me whatever you want, but that's I'm not talking about real people here. I'm talking about drama that you engineer in the screenplay. So this is part of the problem in Hollywood, and it's rare, but it's true. Sometimes they cast people who are too good looking. This was a problem on SVU and Law and Order, because all the New York actors ended up on Law and Order, and they tended to be way too handsome for their roles, except for Jerry Orbach. Like, Jerry Orbach looked like a cop. He was an older guy. He was more of a character actor. But they had Jimmy Smits, Benjamin Bratt. They had that hot blonde Australian chick. They had a lot of hot girls on that show they were prosecutors and lawyers, and they were unbelievably hot. I mean, Marissa, I can't think of her last name. Targetay, I think you pronounce it. She's the daughter of one of the old timey Hollywood bombshells, and they dress her down. Maybe not now; she's a little older, but back in the day, I mean, she's pretty good looking. So now she pulls it off, I think, probably because she's been doing it for so long. But some of the, I mean, the blonde prosecutor, and if you watch the show, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I can't think of her name. She's Australian, number one. And number two, she's probably one of the hottest girls that have ever walked the face of the earth. And she would be on that show. And I remember watching the first episode and going, holy F. Because I used to watch that show all the time. Now, if you look at the very early episodes, you know, you had, I can't think of the actor's name, but the guy who played McCoy, you know, he was just sort of a generic actor, but he looked the part of a DA. And then Adam, I think that was his name in the show, Adam. That's not the actor's name. He was bald. He looked tired all the time. He was the boss. He was like the guy above him. I think he was the assistant DA early on, and then Adam was the DA. I mean, these guys look grizzled. They look like they've been in New York. They look like they've been through the ringer. But then as the show got hot, they got hotter and hotter actors and actresses. And guys like Jerry Orbach disappeared. You know, even the guy who plays Stabler, I believe he was a Marine. I mean, the guy's in great shape if you've ever seen him take his shirt off in one of his movies or TV shows. You know, he's like cut. So if you're gonna have, you know, that's why Ice-T was a good casting choice. That's why Richard Belzer was a good casting choice in those shows. Belzer was a New Yorker all his life. And he wasn't like super handsome or anything. He was just a New Yorker. He fit in perfectly. You know, a bit of a wise mouth, but perfect. Ice-T, he kind of looks a little thuggy. Right? So, you know, and as far as this movie, I mean, it's fine, I guess. It's a low budget thing. It's all going to take place in an apartment, it looks like. But, you know, it's a drama that I think would have worked a lot better. People would have connected better if you had had a heavier actress play this. I know it's so weird coming from me. Normally I'm complaining the other way because they cast somebody who's totally wrong for it because they're, you know, diversity. This is the one time you could have cast somebody like that. Would have been perfect. Drives you nuts. Oh, here's the write-up on it. Stuck inside during quarantine, a cosplayer world begins to fall apart. Nowhere to go, she turns within to find out life's answers. Yeah, it's going to be a tough sell for me. I mean, this is really on the actress. She's going to have to be a good actress. So first act, Morgan is a cosplayer. She's having a great life doing costumes, and I don't know where she works. It doesn't really say. Then quarantine hits, and she loses her job, and like everybody else, she was kind of stuck. But I think she was getting a paycheck because she would have been, like a lot of people, she would have gotten tons of unemployment. In fact, extra unemployment. So I'm not sure. Maybe, you know, that drives her crazy. Maybe it's the kind of thing like she feels isolated and atomized, and that could be an interesting thing to explore. And she does a lot of talking online, and then she has to get through this isolation, and she finds it hard, and then she starts making costumes, and then I guess Morgan's mask is like a metaphor for how we put up facades. You know, how we put on a mask to other people. And really, she's having a breakdown, but she's not telling anybody. So it could be good. I mean, I don't think I'd go see it in the theaters. Would I rent it? Buy or rent? Well, I definitely wouldn't buy it. They cut the price to $3.99 for rental. $2.99 if you don't mind no HD. That's not bad. Maybe. I don't know. I kind of I have a thing about cosplayers. On the one hand, some the really hot ones I like, but they kind of annoy me at cons sometimes. So a bit of a mixed bag from me. But in terms of a low budget feature, it looks fine. Looks fine. Looks like definitely a rental, I would say. Yeah, same right up here. I mean, if you were stuck inside during quarantine, maybe you relate to it. Um, I was stuck inside during part of quarantine, and I don't know. I kind of liked it. So I kind of felt I was driven back into my normal lifestyle because I was getting out more right before the quarantine, and then I got driven back in, and then I kind of was like, oh yeah, I'm used to this. So it didn't bother me. It bothered a lot of people. So in a lot of ways, I can't relate to the problem with isolation, I guess. So, um, but I think it would be okay. The actress looks fine. I just wish she was about 50 pounds heavier. I think this would have more of an impact. Just my opinion. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you can find a more base take it. You should definitely sign up on those 3 sites because God knows how much longer I'm going to last on YouTube. Now that people are starting to see my videos, I'm up to over 3,000 subscribers, and that's thanks to you. That's thanks to the live streams. We did it live on Sunday. If you missed it, go check it out. That was a pretty good stream, too. I'll be back tomorrow with more videos, and check me out on Saturday at the Hamilton Mall in Mays Landing, New Jersey, for the big Level Up Entertainment convention in the mall from 10 to 5. Sunday at the LBI Book Swap in Beach Haven. That's it for me. We'll see you.